All right, we are ready to go for the 2022 season for NASCAR, the Cup Series. The Daytona 500 is less than a week away. As Eric Smith, of course, joining us once again from racereviewonline.net. How's it going, Eric?
Good. And, got this plain background behind me, but next show,
Oh, yeah.
maybe some
You said that last year.
A racetrack. I did. Just replicating it up.
And CJ Radune, who will not be with us full time this season, but will be with us to begin the season with our season predictions. We're going to put our fantasy teams together right now. And he'll also be with us to preview the playoffs when it's playoff time. And then, of course, if there's any other major stories throughout the year that we can pry him away from his busy daytime job. How's it going, CJ?
Going well. Ready to be back racing again. It's about time. Sick of the snow outside. Traded in for some palm trees would be nice.
Right. Are you still going to Daytona, Eric?
Yeah, 6. Well, I'm better not say a time. I don't want to jinx it. It'll probably get Thursday. I should be there Thursday morning. We'll just say that. I'm not going to go to the qualifying or the 2 practices tomorrow. But,
when is that on Thursday? Thursday night?
What is Thursday? Yeah, the duel. Yeah, it's like 7 o'clock.
How many races are those?
2 75 lap races. So that we'll get into, I guess, later in the week. But I'm kind of questioning how much there'll be much dueling when I just saw Kevin Harvick, like all these tweets where the cars are loaded up and go into Florida, and they have the team picture outside, and the old ones, they have all the fleet sitting there, and they had one car. It's like, oh, you're taking one car to Daytona. And then I noticed a lot of others. I'm like, oh boy.
Burton Park.
Yeah. So if you know you're in the race, I'm not so sure I'd probably race the duel. I don't know why you would, like, you know what, I'm going to bow out to what's the difference in starting 30th and 4th? Like, I know I'm in the race. I'm not going to wreck my car. So you guys can have at it. Or the other side, if you qualify in the front row Wednesday night, why would you even race? I would literally do I'd start in park because you may not have a backup car. That, to me, I'm curious what practice. It's intriguing for practice tomorrow because you've never been in this car before and you need a draft, but why would you draft if you don't have a backup car? So, yeah, we'll see what all that holds.
Well, the Coliseum deal wasn't all that great, so that's not a surprise. And you know what? It's not a surprise Joey Logano won either, because we talked about, didn't he win the dirt race?
Yep. His last 2 races, dirt race and a Coliseum.
Yeah,
his last 2 wins.
He's the guy to go to when you are in unfamiliar surroundings.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Gateway in June. Hammer it now. Joey Logano. We've never been there before, so why not? He's won everything else we've not been there before. So.
And he's your championship pick too.
Yeah. I made this before the Coliseum. I just did it till last week, but hey, it's like, hey, it actually made me feel worse because, we talked off air before this, that it seems like Penske starts hot and fades. So, he may not even make the championship for those past trends. But there's another trend which I'm sure we'll get into, is why I picked him. So,
well, what we're gonna do first is we're gonna pick our fantasy teams, then we're gonna go over our. Actually, we could probably do it the opposite way because I have your picks, and I was looking over the picks and I realized that we have basically only three different drivers pretty much between the 3 of us to make the 16. Eric, you and I have Kurt Busch, but CJ has Chastain. Let's see. I have Cindric and so does CJ, but you have, say, Suarez. And then the 2 difference for each of us, again, you have Almirola. That's one of your other 3 different drivers. Suarez, Kurt Busch, Almirola. CJ has Chastain, Cindric, and Dillon. And besides Kurt Busch, I have Buescher and then Cindric as well. But I have Buescher and Wallace. So those are the different drivers that I have. But what sticks out here is, let's start at the top. Eric, Joey Logano to win the championship. What's up with that?
Well, it's only because of trends, because we don't really know how the season is going to play out, right? It's a new car. We don't know who's going to adjust to it best. So I just went with trends. He's not quite. He's been in it long enough to have kind of made up old habits of the old car, but he's still kind of young enough to adapt too. So I did that. Plus, it seems like his championship appearances are in the even number years. He won the championship in, was it 18? And 20 he was in the championship for, 16, 14 he's in the championship for, but the odd number years he's not. And well, we're an even number year. It's 2022, he's 22. So
yes.
I just combined it all together, and friends are going to say he's going to win.
Okay.
Will he?
Eric's crystal
I don't
ball.
know. Yeah, I mean, he's 13
Numerology.
to 1. Yeah, as of last week, he's 13 to 1, and numerology played out like, all right, let's go with a longer shot. I mean, it'd be easy to just say, oh, hey, Larson's going to repeat, but that's no fun. He probably will.
Well, but that's hard. It's still hard to do.
It is. It's only happened twice. I have it right here. A repeat champion is Jimmy Johnson and Jeff Gordon. They're the only two since 1995 that have repeated. So both Hendrick drivers, though. Larson's a Hendrick driver, and I'd say he's on course between those two. I mean, he's as good as a driver as both of them. So, but other than that, yeah, I just went, why not? Let's try something
why not?
new this year.
Exactly. It's the 13 to 1. It's a good number to win the championship. And CJ going with Kyle Busch. Oh, I'm like the exact opposite. Both of you guys have Kyle in the final 4. I'm supposed to be the big Kyle Busch fan, and I don't even have him in the final 8. I just don't like the way Kyle Busch is going right now. But what do you guys think? This CJ specifically, of course, you have him to win the championship. This has to do with what? The new car. He's a veteran driver. If anybody can handle the new car, it's going to be someone like Kyle Busch.
You hit the nail on the head. I mean, this is a season of unknowns with the new car. I mean, the pit crews are doing all new work with the single lug nut. I think it's going to take longer to fill the car with fuel than it's going to take to change the tires this year. You know, he struggled for the past 2 years. He got back on the horse a little bit last year, but was still behind the 8 ball. I think he's sick and tired of his teammate showing him up, Denny Hamlin. I think with all the unknowns, a guy as tenacious as him that can go out and win under any kind of circumstances. This, to me, kind of levels the playing field again for him. And this season's a little bit more of a return to normal, especially, you know, considering the past couple of years with the disruptions from COVID and so on and so forth. So this is the first year, probably in 3, that will have a little bit of stability in terms of how you approach a race weekend, given, you know, aside from the fact that you've got a whole new car. But to me, there are 2 guys that can go out there under these types of circumstances, and you can bank on them just being able to perform and win under the most you know, audacious circumstances. Kyle Busch is one of them. Kyle Larson is the other one. Like you said, I think repeating under this format is damn near impossible at this point. I like Larson a lot. I've got him in the final 4, but for that reason, I'm taking Kyle Busch.
I'm a little surprised. Now, look, I'm not. Nobody's surprised that I'm going to take Ryan Blaney to win the championship. I think he's overdue. I think it's his time. I think last year he showed that progress, and now I think this is it. There's no more excuses about how much his team sucks and all that, and it has to work. So, or else then we got to start looking in the mirror. You did not have Ryan Blaney in your final 8, Eric.
It just seems like he, like I said with Logano, he's the every other year guy. It's like he either gets bounced in the round of 16 or round of 12, or he gets to the round of 8 the next year, and it's back and forth. And I just felt like with this year, again, it's all a bunch of unknowns, but I'm curious how much the loss of Keselowski is going to affect the team in a sense of the veteran presence, the setups, kind of how Hendrick took a step back when Gordon and Johnson, those guys walked away. I just feel like Logano's been there long enough, but is this going to hurt Blaney? I mean, Blaney's essentially the number 2 driver now at Penske, if not maybe soon to be number 1, depending on how this goes. I mean, he could easily win the championship, but I also look at in the past, and he seems to just go on this wave, and until he can prove otherwise, I'll just put him out in the second round. I don't think he's a first-round exit, but we don't know how this tracks in the second. I mean, maybe the first round becomes a good round for him. We know the tracks in the old car did not equate well to him, but I just felt like it's going to be hard for him to match. I feel like, what was he, second seed last year in the playoffs? Like, I think he was.
Yeah.
I think he was number 2. I think he passed Larson or Hamlin in that. So all those playoff points, I feel like it's going to be hard to replicate that again. So I just wondered if the playoff points and the lack thereof could be hurting him in the second round, where I don't have him winning a race in that round to get by.
Who is your? Now I noticed in your report you have Reddick as a sleeper. Is that a championship sleeper, or just a sleeper?
Just a sleeper, but I feel like he could. I mean, you don't know, I guess, what could happen. I mean, Childress has been testing this car a lot. It seems like they were always on the track, whether it be him or Austin Dillon, and a lot of people are picking him to have a year. I mean, look at the playoffs. Other than the first round, him and Byron. We talked about this a lot in the playoffs last year. If they were in the championship eligible, I guess, they would have had a say in things. So now he's back to a fresh start. It's in third season. I just feel new car. At any time he's going to turn it on now that everybody's going to start off kind of like a fresh, clean slate. So I just like the way he has the momentum coming into this year, and just feel like he's due for something. But granted, I say that, but I didn't pick him to go too far.
Well, CJ, you don't believe in William Byron as much as Eric does.
No.
Why? What is it about? Because he obviously came up huge, as Eric mentioned, at the end of the year. We all thought, wow, is this it? Is William Byron now ready to take that next step? Finally. You don't believe that. Why?
He's a guy that can prove me wrong, without a doubt, and I wouldn't be surprised. He's somebody that puts a lot of investment in the simulator, in the new car. That's going to pay off a lot this year. My question overall, though, is Hendrick as an organization, are they going to be able to climb the learning curve as quickly as the other teams? We think Penske is going to come out of the gate really strongly. We think Richard Childress is going to come out of the gate really strongly. How long is it going to take Hendrick to get all of their drivers up that learning curve? And is Byron going to be one of the ones that comes along quick enough to do so? I think he's going to win a race. I just don't know, given the new circumstances with the new car, with the teams that seem to be coming out of the gate a little bit faster with it, how he's going to be able to pull the team along. I mean, you've got him, Bowman, Larson, and Elliot. Larson, maybe Elliot, those are the guys that can develop the car. I haven't seen Byron and Bowman do that for an organization yet. You got Logano, you've got Blaney, they've got experience doing that. You've got somebody like Dillon over at Richard Childress. So that's the question in my mind. However, if Hendrick's able to hit the ball on the head, or hit the nail on the head, and come out swinging relatively early in the season, I think Byron could easily prove me wrong.
You don't really have the only is Austin Dillon like your sleeper?
Yeah, it's either him or Reddick. I think it's going to come out of the Richard Childress camp, to be honest with you. I completely agree with what Eric said. They're testing the car so much. They had speed right out of the gate at the Coliseum, which means nothing. However, they were the ones that were at front. I mean, Reddick had an issue, and that's why he finished down at the order. If he hadn't had an issue, he might have won the thing.
Yeah, while leading. He was an issue while leading, yeah.
And who do you think is the most disappointing driver? Is going to be the most disappointing driver? Stay away from type of guy, Eric.
Looking at the odds right now, I would say out of the odds disappointed, maybe Chase Elliott, the sense that he's plus 410. I mean, he's the second best odds. Yes, he's got 2 straight championship 4 finishes, but he hasn't won an oval again since 2020. And really, even in the playoffs, he's finally got hot. But most of that year, it seemed like he always starts the regular season off slow. I mean, he might only have a win or two, and then he gets hot in the playoffs. But I feel like the playoffs he did what he needed to do to get to Phoenix, but I just don't think he was looking back on it, like he wasn't a true threat to win the championship. I mean, Larson was leaps and bounds, I feel like, better than they were. So as of now, looking at the odds, the second best odds, it's just hard to jump all in when he hasn't shown me consistently enough to be like, if I'm going to throw money on a championship guy, plus 410 right now, it's hard to me to to do that. The other guy, maybe Truex. I feel like he's not been great over the last few. Yes, last year was improved, but you got to go the year before that. Wasn't that way.
He doesn't have his crew chief anymore.
Yeah, and then they also, I just wonder how much longer. I just feel like Toyota's got to do something. And I wrote about it's like they're all getting older. It's just how long is this going to work? Because he's constantly, I feel like, looking over his shoulder. Because we know we'll see how it goes with Ty Gibbs this year in the Xfinity, which it's not announced yet. I don't know why, but he'll be in the Xfinity series for him. You know you got to move him up soon. So Kyle Busch doesn't have sponsorship pass this year. Sure, like how does that all fit? I just feel like there's a lot of pieces for the future for Gibbs that I wonder. I would say maybe the Gibbs camp Elliot and the Gibbs camp across the board. I don't think Gibbs is going to be way down, but Hamlin, 3 straight championship fours, no championship. New car, is that going to drop? Is that going to be? How does he respond to that if he does? I don't know how you can keep that a 4th straight championship four, especially if you don't win. So there's a lot of guys up top that it'd be hard to put money their way until I see something out of them. And then back to Byron, I just talking about the sleepers and things. I last year at this time he was 50-1, and they moved them all the way to 8-1.
Yeah,
so it's like huge. Whoa, it was a huge drop. Yeah. And usually Vegas, and that's the other part. On the flip side of that, they don't usually get it wrong a lot. Usually the top guys up top, you get to the round of 8, and there's the same 8 guys that they had to start, and they're all right there. So on the flip side, they concern me, but I wouldn't be shocked if they're all in the round of 8 too. So along with an answer, I'd say the Gibbs guys and Elliot. Just I want to see this first month what they can do.
And CJ, you have Cindric making it.
I do have Cindric making it. He's going to win on a road course. He's one of the best in the series, all of NASCAR series. And if you put him in a full-blown Penske car where he's in the same seat every single week, he gets used to the team, he gets used to the car. The team's used to supporting the car, not these one-off kind of part-time trials. I think he's actually going to finish a race and on a road course, and I think he's going to finish one in Victory Circle, and that's why I think he makes it to the round of 16 this year.
And
his rookie.
And the only other surprise is, Eric, you have Suarez making it.
Yeah, he kept saying I feel like this is oddly enough, it's weird for a new car, new type team, second year to say like this is kind of a must win, but it just kind of feels like a must win at some point for him. It's especially, I'd say, the new car, since it's more even that we know of right now, that he's not won a race yet. He's in with Gibbs, he's in with Stewart Haas, and here we are, the second year. This is his first time in a while he's been back-to-back years with the same team. And he put a lot of pressure on himself. I saw some quotes he was saying that he feels it's a must-win season for him too. And I don't feel like a must-win is going to happen in the playoffs. So therefore, if he's going to win, it's hard for a non-playoff driver to win a playoff race. It's going to have to come in the regular season. So I can't say which track. I wouldn't know yet, but I feel like at some point he's going to get a win in the regular season and get it. I mean, it looked improved in the Clash. Him and Chastain was even running. He didn't qualify well, but was running well in the heat. So he was there. I think he would have qualified 6th, Suarez did. So he had a good car. So we'll see what happens. But I feel like at some point he's going to get a win.
And I was the only one to put Bubba Wallace in. What's up with no Bubba Wallace fan club here?
Yeah, I'll speak first. I made that mistake last year going on. Remember, you're like, you want to trade him yet? You're going to drop me? No, he's going to get a win. He's in a 23-11 car. He's going to make the playoffs, and that's a 5th Gibbs car. He'll be fine, and he didn't make the playoffs. And he won in the playoffs, fine, but it's Talladega. And like, I don't think he's a talented driver, but if you look, I feel like he's not going to win the regular season. I was even more kind of solidified my decision when I saw how this kind of looked off in the practice and the qualifying. Yeah, he raced decent in his heat, but it just almost gets the sense he's slow to react to this car. He didn't get a lot of testing in the offseason because his shoulder surgery. He just happened in Phoenix a few weeks ago. So I just wonder if he can get a win in the regular season. And he's never done that before. And I have Suarez stealing a win somewhere, so I feel like it's going to knock him out on points. I just feel like Reddick was going to find victory lane. Suarez will find victory lane. If Wallace doesn't, I just don't feel like there's enough spots for him to make it.
How many races, CJ, do you think we're going to need in order for us to, with the new car, for us to say, okay, we have a pretty good idea now who's feeling comfortable and who's not?
I'm going to give it till the end of Las Vegas, and I think that's generous. We could probably say after California, I would guess. California is back on the schedule, so that'll be the race after the Daytona 500. First time in a couple of years we've been to Fontana. It's a 2.5 mile, 2-mile D-shaped oval. Then we'll go to Las Vegas, which is your standard 1.5 mile oval. I think by then you have a solidified view of where everybody is. I think by the time California ends, by the time we see the checkered flag at California, we're going to have 85% of the way there in terms of confidence level as to where people are. And then Las Vegas just basically shows whether or not somebody was lying or sneaking in California. So 3 weeks max. Wow. I think we're going to know really quickly.
Do you agree with that, Eric? Wait,
the difference is going to be development, though. So we're going to know where people are out of the gate. It's going to be the next 10 to 15 races as to how those teams progress.
Yeah, I agree. I say the first, we'll call it quarter, first 4 races, you'll see who hit it out the gates. I mean, you have a super speedway, like you just said, 2-mile oval, 1.5 miles, and then a 1 mile at Phoenix. So you kind of got them all out of the way at first, but you're not really going to see the updates until you get back to the East Coast. Because you start in Daytona, which, again, it's a super speedway. How much are you really going to learn from that to take over? Then you go west, so you're not really updating anything. Plus, you really only have 1-2 cars to play with anyway. So it's not like you, in the past, like, oh, we got this over here, but we got, like, an intermediate car in the shop and a short track car in the shop that we can send data to and get those set up for the next wave. You're not going to have that luxury. So I really feel like we're really going to know the pretenders and contenders and pretenders, I'd say, for a certain, I'd say after the 600 in May. Let's let them get back east. We'll see who's got it early. Let's get them back east. Let's see some of these, as you learn, developments, research, all of this stuff. Let's see them put that on the car. And then I think you're going to see, let's see the results from that. Because that's where I feel like a lot of these teams, the Childresses, the Trackhouse, the colleagues, capitalize early, because right now it's a clean slate. But when you get back east, when these big teams have these resources to put what they learned to implement on the car, that's where I feel like it's going to take off. But it's going to take a few weeks to do that. So I agree with CJ. I'd say you'll know early, but it's going to be the true test. Well, I'll give it to the Memorial Day, the 600, when you got multiple short tracks, multiple 1.5 miles, a few road courses in there. Then we'll see who actually learned the best, I'd say. But here's the other kicker you got to mention too. We've got 36 points paying races here, and you could throw in the 37th if you want to count the All-Star race, and a 38-week stretch. We don't really have one off week. So you're going to have a lot of tired guys too. You're going to have a lot of tired workers. So it's going to be a grueling stretch. So you not only are you constantly learning, constantly making development, you don't have a lot of time. You don't have any time off to implement these things. It's going to be a lot of late hours. So I think attrition is going to be a factor in this too.
Okay, now I'm going to pop up our patreon.com/PrimeSN page. Now, this is something that we've already been working on. It's already available up on this URL right here. We've already started doing horse racing shows. We're going to be doing golf coming up soon in the next couple of weeks, and a bunch of other programming, including motorsports. Now, it's going to take us, basically what we're going to do is we're going to give everybody an opportunity for the first few weeks to check out all of our programming, especially because Eric is going to be going to Daytona. So we're going to have coverage live at Daytona, post-race coverage, behind-the-scenes coverage. Take advantage of whenever Eric is away, like this upcoming week. Put that out there for everybody to see for free, just like we've always had it. And then just keeping in mind that in the coming weeks, we are going to transform everything over to our Patreon page, and you're going to have to pay for any of this programming as little as $5 a month. you just want to watch all the videos for motorsports, for everything that we have actually on the channel that is behind our paywall at patreon.com/PrimeSN, you could just pay $5. But you pay more, you get more benefits. And we're going to show you a lot of those benefits in the coming weeks, especially this week, Daytona. So we want to make sure that we take advantage of Eric's trip to Daytona and utilize that and get as big of an audience as we can before we put it behind a paywall. All right, now let's talk fantasy. So CJ was our big winner last year, and that means that since I was the big loser, I get the first pick. So last year I was the big winner, I got the third pick. So, and Eric is Mr. In Between. So it hasn't helped him out so far.
Nope.
No. I'm going to make the obvious choice. So we have our group. So group 1 is going to have Blaney, Kyle Busch, William Byron, Chase Elliott, Denny Hamlin, Kevin Harvick, Kyle Larson, Joey Logano, and Martin Truex Jr. And we have to make 3 selections, which means we're going to eliminate 6 of these drivers and then move the 3 remaining drivers to group 2. So I'm gonna make the obvious choice of them all, and I'm gonna tempt CJ with a potential trade by taking Kyle Larson as the number 1 pick. So just keep that in mind. We made a trade last year. Not sure it really benefited either of us for the postseason. But yeah. All right, so that was the easy one. Got Kyle Larson out of the way. Eric, you're next. Who's going to be your first pick?
Well, I'll put my money where my mouth is, and I'll just go Logano. I thought maybe you'd go Blaney with your guys. Like, I'll go Larson, but yeah. I'll go Logano just because that was my overall pick. So I'll just put my money where my mouth is and just go with the guy that I picked.
All right, sounds good. CJ, champion.
I'll put my money where my mouth is as well. I'll go with Kyle Busch as my top pick.
Okay.
And then as my
this is
snake,
that's right. I'm going to remind everybody this is a snake draft. So CJ's first in the second round, and then Eric, and then I go.
I'll go ahead and take the one that Eric said to stay away from, with Chase Elliott.
Yeah, and I was gonna say I'm probably gonna. I wondered if you'd go Elliot or Blaney because I was like, my other guy's gonna be I said to stay away from, and I know it's ironic I just said this, but he's been to 3 straight championship fours, so until he doesn't, I'll go. I think Hamlin's been on my team every year, so I might as well take him again. Actually, I think Logano was on my team last year. What's the definition of doing the same thing over and over? I think I'm running. I got in second last year. I'm now shaping up with the same team, but whatever.
So, you talked about Kyle being that veteran driver. Well, why can't Hamlin be that veteran driver? You know?
He could. Yeah, he could. My only fear for him is the drop-off. How is he going to respond? I mean, because let's look. The regular season, he had great. It's been a win, and then it kicked off in the playoffs. We got a completely new car. And I just wonder how many times can you keep getting to the championship round and not winning, and then you got a new car, you're like, man, I got to do something different. It's just that it's like that team that keeps – I'll use the Tennessee Titans as an example. They keep getting to the playoffs. They just can't get to the championship game. They can't get to the Super Bowl. You got a solid team, but eventually you're going to have to make changes. So does Hamlin go the other way? It's like, well, I need to change something up. Does he start pressing? Does he – so that was my only concern. But he is a veteran, can figure it out. So and he's a team owner.
Are there is there a team, like a top 10 team, that has made a significant amount of changes as far as crew chief or just business in general?
Probably Penske, only in the sense that you shuffled some crew chiefs around again. Keselowski's out. Cindric's in. He brings the crew chief. I'd say maybe then because, like, Stewart-Haas, they made a crew chief. Like, Briscoe's going to get has a new crew. Like, they made a couple crew chief changes. Nothing. Same driver lineup. Gibbs is running it back. Hendrick's pretty much running it back. I'd say the top one is, I'd say that probably Penske as far as the upper echelon. Because like Childress is running it back. A lot of the guys are running it back. That's probably the main one. Blaney's got a new crew chief. Cindric's in with a new crew chief. Logano and Paul Wolf are the only two constants from last year. So I'd say Penske's probably the biggest.
Okay. All right. I'll make the final pick, and you guys know what that's going to do. I'm going to take my championship pick and go with Blaney, rounding out Group 1. Okay, so Group 2. Eric, you get to start. No, yeah, right? Yes. You start, Eric?
Mm-hmm.
And Byron moves over.
Yeah, what's on?
So does Harvick and Truex. Okay, and the other drivers in Group 2 will be Almirola, Bell, Bowman, Buescher, Kurt Busch, Dillon, Keselowski, Reddick, and Stenhouse. You're up, Eric.
I'm probably, and I have a good feeling about him this year. I'm going to go Harvick. And oddly enough, he's 28-1 Daytona 500 odds, which seemed odd to me for 2 straight top 5. So I just feel like he's got to turn it back around sometime soon, right? I mean, it's a clean slate. They thought they figured out maybe what was going on. I feel like they were always playing behind the 8 ball last year. Now that it's clean slate, we saw what he did the year before. So I'll take
you
a
do realize you had
champion
William Byron in the Final 4, right?
I do.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm just seeing if you guys would take him or if you – because I know I got another pick coming back around. So,
okay,
and
that's possible.
Truex is still sitting there, so I'm just seeing if he's going to swing back around.
Possible.
So we'll
see. CJ, you've got 2 picks, right?
I do have 2 picks, and I'm glad, actually, Eric took Harvick because I was not going to take him, and I didn't want to look like a fool for not taking him. So now I don't have to look like a fool because I couldn't have taken him. I'm very much on the fence with Harvick. I think it's a good pick from a fantasy perspective. I'm just very much on the fence with him with the new car. I haven't seen much out of Stewart Haas for the past couple of years, and that's worrisome. So I'm going to go ahead. Long story short, I'm going to go with Truex. Can't not take him. And then the second one's going to be between Bowman and Byron. And honestly, I think Byron's got a chance of winning more races this year. So I'm going to go with Byron.
All right. So that means that I have,
all of Group 2.
Yeah, that's right. Because 3 guys are done from Group 1. So, see here. Let's see. How many picks do I have? 1 or 2?
That's what I'm actually writing down right now. I'll let you know in a second.
Actually, Eric, isn't it your second for the Group 2?
It takes back, doesn't it? Yeah, hold on. Actually, Let me. Greg's got Blaney, Larson. Wait a minute. It might go to Greg. I got 3. Hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We got 9. We should all have 3 drivers right now.
I should have 4 because I've chose. You guys each.
Oh, I didn't have Truex for you. So you've got Truex, Elliot, Byron, Kyle. Greg got Blaney and Larson.
Why was I supposed to go twice in a row?
I think you need to go twice and then back to me because I've got 3. Yeah. CJ has 4. You only have 2. So you're up, Greg, with 2 picks and then back to me.
Yep.
So
because I started this round anyways. Yeah.
So
that's
2
right.
picks.
Yep.
All right. Let's see. Yeah. In this situation, you've got. Bowman is like the hit or miss guy. I'll take him because you feel comfortable that he's going to win some races and he'll be in the playoffs. The question is going to be how far he's going to go in the playoffs. And fantasy wise, I just don't know. How consistent. He's really not a great fantasy driver at this point.
He's either win or top 15.
Yeah. But in this group. Things are a little bit different. And now the question comes, I guess I'm going to go ahead and stick with Keselowski. I'm going to give Keselowski an opportunity to, because we all have Keselowski in the playoffs. Matter of fact, and this is why I think it's going to make, I think it's going to make Buescher better having Keselowski there as a teammate.
Yep. should have elevated them. I think Keselowski's saying, especially at the Clash, I feel like they were maybe just trying to learn each other. I mean, there's not a lot of time to learn each other so far since he took over, but their lack of speed is a little concerning. But again, it's a Clash. You're not going to translate it over. So we'll see. He's always going to be a good super speedway racer. That's never going to change. I had him winning one of those to get in. So, new team, fresh perspective. So, yeah, that's past champion.
Yeah. That leaves Almirola, Bell, Buescher, Kurt Busch, Dillon, Reddick, and Stenhouse.
Reddick, just for obvious reasons we talked earlier. I just feel like this could be a breakout year for him, and why not try him? Out of those guys that's left, I guess I trust him most for a breakout year.
Okay. And does that mean CJ's next?
Yes.
All right, CJ.
So wrapping it up here. Well, I'm high on Richard Childress. You took Reddick, so I'll go ahead and take Dillon. Then
Oh, you already have three drivers in Group 2 now.
Yeah, so then it'd be Greg's turn because you've got 5. Greg's got 4.
How many drivers do you have now, CJ?
That's his 5th.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I've got.
How many do you have, Eric?
And me and you both have 4.
Oh,
because you're after CJ, so I think you go again, and then I go one more time.
Who goes?
And then CJ leads off. You go again. I'm after you.
Okay, and that means CJ's got his 3 in Group 2. I've got 2, and you have 2. So.
Yep.
Well, I'll go with Buescher then. I've got Keselowski. I'll go with the teammates. I'll go Buescher. Eric?
I'm gonna go with Bell. I'll go another young guy.
All right, and now we go to Group 3.
Group 3.
Where we move Almirola, Kurt Busch, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. with Briscoe, Burton, Chastain, Cindric, Custer, McDowell, Suarez, and Wallace Jr. Whose turn?
Should be CJ's.
I need a Ford. So that narrows it down.
Yeah, you got 3 Chevys, 2 Toyotas.
So I'll go ahead and take Cindric.
Almost put 33, but he's 2 now. Then it should be back to Greg.
Yep.
Okay. I'll go with Kurt Busch.
This is a tough one because I feel like these guys are all going to be racing each other. Like they're all going to be in that purgatory of 15th to 20th. It's like who's going to get you those back end points?
Well, you have Suarez and Almirola making the playoffs.
Yep, that's what I was debating. You know what? I'll go. I take him every year because we share a first name. We'll go Almirola. Different spelling, but he's good for a win somewhere.
Who you're going to go with Almirola?
I had Bell, Almirola. I got the same team I had last year.
Oh, goodness gracious.
I guess I might as well go with my last pick of Bubba Wallace because I think he was my last pick last year.
Who's up?
Should be CJ back again.
All right.
This is
How
your
many
last
are we
pick,
supposed
CJ.
to? We have 3 out of Group 3.
What's that?
Yeah.
We're supposed to have 3 out of Group 3.
No, we only have how many drivers we have in total? 7,
We'll
right?
pick 3. Yeah.
So there's only 2.
Yeah.
Should be
all right.
11, I thought. Yeah.
So you have your 6. So this is your last one.
Yeah, we have 7.
Yep.
Yep. 1, 2, 3. Yep.
All right. I will go with another Ford then. Almirola's off the board. Not that I would have chosen him anyway.
That's
We'll
I
go
don't know.
Go with Harrison Burton.
Ooh, we haven't talked much about Harrison Burton.
Got the rookies, the 2 rookies, Burton and Rookie of the Year battle.
Oh, okay. And remember, who's ever left over, they become free agent drivers. and we could make pickups every week. Who's ever last in the standings, they get the first choice. So see how long, like you guys said, it may take us 2 or 3 weeks to figure things out. So we might have some changes pretty quickly as far as free agency is concerned. All right, who's next?
Your
Me?
last pick is up.
This is my last
Yep.
pick. All right, I'll go then with Wallace, my playoff driver.
All right, put him off, and I might as well. I'll just go Suarez. He was my other sleeper to win somewhere.
Okay, so we left off Stenhouse Jr., Custer, McDowell, Briscoe, Chastain, and anyone else that is out there right now. Are there any other full-time drivers that were not in our fantasy, in our list that we should be keeping an eye on early, just in case?
I'm not.
I haven't heard his name.
Oh, who was that?
Eric Jones. We haven't talked about him.
Jones and
He's still with Petty?
Yep.
He
That's
is.
why we haven't talked about him.
Exactly right. But that's.
Him and his,
I mean,
him and his
you
new
asked if
teammate,
there was anybody left.
him and his new teammate who crashed everything but the pace car, Ty Dillon. are left.
Yes.
We're gonna be kicking ourselves when Michael McDowell goes back to back and he's sitting there.
This is fantasy,
Todd Gilliland and his teammates. I know. That's pick up some early points now. Yeah.
That's right. Because remember, we have triple points for the Daytona 500 and the Coke 600. We don't have triple points this year again for the Bristol night race because it's in the playoffs because of the stupid dirt race. So hopefully they'll be done with this. I don't know. Have they said they're going to do anything past this year with this dirt race?
For the dirt, taking year by year.
So it was bad last year. So let's do it again.
We'll try it again.
Yeah. So it's bad again. That better be it. Give us back our 2 Bristol races the way we want it.
Yeah.
And then we can put.
Well, they're running on Easter night. Like, I don't know how you're going to gain. I don't know many people are like, hey, let's skip Easter and go watch a Bristol night race. Or on the other side is, hey, let's put off the Easter egg hunt because I need to have my my energy for Bristol dirt later tonight. Like, I don't know why you wouldn't run it on Saturday night. Sunday night, Easter night, they haven't ran it on Easter since the 80s. I just don't see this playing out well for ratings or attendance. Hey, they moved it to night. I will say that. That's what we were asking because the track got more moisture, but I'm not so sure an Easter night race is the way to go, but I could be wrong.
I'm just glad we're not going back to the Daytona road course.
Yeah, get that long one.
Well, so the dirt race last year was what? They shortened because of nobody could see?
They ran the distance, but they didn't. They moved it to like a single file restart because the dust was there. You just couldn't. It just didn't do well, which we talked about in the show. If we remember, we said you cannot race dirt in the day because it dries it out. So
it was the early races, the heats and trucks that paid the penalty. Those were the ones that have to start because they got so much mud clogged up that the engines were overheating. And then by the time it finally got to the
important race,
the race for the cup, when it finally got to the important race, it was all couldn't see anything.
Typical.
That's all the dust.
I'm glad it's a night race, but
well, it's, that's the only. Yeah, that's the thing. Is I what I don't want to see is it becoming acceptable.
Yeah.
Either it moves tonight and it's a lot better than we thought, and all right, okay, whatever, we'll live with it, or it's just better. Just either way, I want my 2 Bristol races back.
Totally
I think it showed the night race last year was one of the best races. I mean, you got drama, you got a lot of chaos, and why would you not want that in the spring? So,
no idea.
But hey, do you know you've got? Well, I do too. Out of your 7 drivers at the finish last year, 4 of them are on your team this year. And same for me.
On my team from last year.
Yeah. Do you know which the 4 are? I'm looking at it right now.
Well,
I pulled
Blaney,
up. Like, my team looks a lot like. Yep.
Who were my other picks? I see Blaney. Oh, wait, let me think of last year's team. Oh, Bowman.
Bowman, yep.
Busher.
Yep. 3.
And what'd you say? One more?
One more.
I also had Di Benedetto. Boy, that's the one driver that it sucks that he ain't raced.
It's in the trucks.
That's truck ride. Yeah.
That's and I had Chastain, but I don't have him. So who's that one last driver I'm not thinking about?
Kurt Busch.
Oh yeah, Kurt Busch. That's right. The Kurt Busch, Ricky Sten.
He traded
the Keselowski trade.
Yep.
Yes.
Now I have them both.
Now you got both. You got Ralph. You have both Ralph Fenway, both 2311, half of the Hendrick lineup, and a third of the Penske lineup.
Okay.
Easy teams to follow for you.
Yeah.
I also have 4 of the 7.
Who are your 4?
Almirola, Reddick, Logano, and Hamlin. What's weird is I would have thought CJ would have 2, but he's got 2. But
No.
we picked.
Once Larson was, I had to, everything was kind of up in the air at that point. So, new car, thinking a little bit differently. We'll see how it plays out.
Well, that was the whole reason that you won last year was Kyle Larson.
100%.
Was
17 wins. CJ won half the year on that. And Larson.
No question. He was my pick for everything.
Yes. Bingo.
He does have his second Truex. Harvick had, I think Harvick was top 5 in point. He just kept top 5 and top 10 everything.
He at the end of the season he came on, but he still just could not find victory.
He could not get a win. It was like 4th place was his brick wall. He could get the 5th. It was getting in my team. It's like I had Hamlin, Elliot, Byron, Logano, and then a drop off. Like I kind of need that. If he can at least do that last year to me this year, I feel much better. I just had that. It went from 1,240 points at Logano all the way down to 885 for Red. It's like I had a huge drop, and then Wallace and Almirola were my bottom 3. So it's like I gotta up the bottom. So
yeah, but you got those veteran drivers at the top, though.
Yeah, I returned Hamlin. So out of my top 5, only 2 of them aren't on my team this year: Elliot and Byron. So we'll see. Granted, this is a new car. I mean, it probably doesn't translate to anything, but we'll see.
Well, a lot's going to depend for CJ on probably Kyle Busch. Since that was your first pick.
I think it's all coming down to Kyle. I think this year for me, and whether or not he's able to find his mojo with that team, or with the car, I should say.
The new car. We're all going to wonder about that. And Eric, you're going to be at Daytona in a few days.
Yep.
So what's the schedule going to be like?
So tomorrow they practice twice. First 2 practice sessions of the official season. Wednesday's qualifying.
Tuesday's practice.
Tomorrow's Tuesday. Yeah, 2 practices. Wednesday will be qualifying. Thursday are the duels. Friday's the truck race. Saturday's ARCA Xfinity race. Sunday's the Cup race. But I know Friday and Saturday, the Cup guys will have one practice. Well, I need to look at Friday. I know Saturday they've got their final practice. I would think they're going to practice Friday evening, but maybe not. So I'll have to look at the schedule for Friday, see if Cup guys get on track. But I do know they've got one Saturday morning practice, which is final practice, and then the 500 on Sunday, which they announced today 100% sold out, even hospitality, suites. I know the RV camping one and the grandstands are already sold out, but they had the fan zone, hospitality suites. You still had to weigh in. Now that's completely sold out. I think it's the first time in years that there's really no way at this point of getting in. It's just 100% sold out. So good for them.
Yeah. Well, nobody knows. This is dangerous too because of this drafting and new car, and we just keep our fingers crossed that it's going to work out.
Last time they did this, they mentioned was 2013 when he got an old car to new car, and that race was boring. That race was terrible. They just ran at the top the whole race. Remember that was when Danica was on the pole, and I kept getting mad. Like she was like third or fourth place in the final laps. Like, are you going to get out and make a move, or are you just going to ride there all race? And she never did anything and got bum rushed and felt like the 7th or 8th or something. But I remember that then they talked about, because there's low inventory, they were afraid to wad up a bunch of cars. So they just kind of stayed in line. So I'm a little nervous that this week will be the same, just in a sense. I mean, hell, these guys have one car. It just seems odd to me that they're to the point now that I'm going to use Storehouse as an example because they tweeted all their pictures out that them going down. They each have one car that I think they're sharing backup cars. So instead of like Harvick having a backup or Almirola having a backup, they just kind of put a couple, like, we're going to leave them in the shop. And if we wad up some cars in speed weeks, we'll bring it down. And even though it might be Kevin Harvick's backup, we'll just use it for everybody. Like, now Almirola may get that backup, which it's just scary. I last heard there's some teams have 2 cars, some are putting together the third, some have 3, and that's just total that they have to get through. So it's so bad the Daytona 500 winners car is not going to the Daytona USA as it usually is. They're just going to use a replica. NASCAR is going to use one of the test cars and just rewrap it. It's because they can't afford to leave. You can't afford to leave an inventory behind. Like, hey, we won the race, but you can't take that car with you. But it won, but it's got to go over there. Bad. So now you went from one car to none. So it is worrisome. I mean, that's where I think tomorrow's practice is key. I mean, you had that, 11 or 12 guys that were down there last month testing. That's the biggest test you've had down there. You kind of, to me, want to know what it's like in a draft of 20, 25 cars. How's your car going to react? Because you literally have no idea right now. But you also don't want to be in the middle of a 20 to 25 car draft.
Well, then that's the thing. It's going to be boring during the week. That's when nobody's going to take any chances. Once you're in the race, it doesn't matter. I mean, if you wreck your car, you wreck your car. You're going to go home anyway.
That's exactly. That's why I wonder if most of the race, is it going to be like 13 where drivers are just lined up like, hey, why wreck early? We want to be here in the end. Let's not tear something up. So let's just hang around and then try to get there to the end, and maybe we escape without any damage.
Yeah, okay.
So
that ain't gonna happen.
I think I think like 80% of the cars that have showed up, Cup cars at Speed Weeks the last like 3 years, I think, have been wadded up. So we'll see. But it's a risky proposition. I mean, you kind of need to put your car to the limit to see what you have for the race, but you don't want to put your car to the limit and wreck. Or I have a feeling the person that wins Sunday is going to be the one that's going to put their car in some kind of perilous position during the week, during the duel, to learn something to use Sunday. But they're going to be the one that didn't wreck. You can't wreck. That's the fact. You cannot wreck.
I would then, don't take anything. We usually don't take anything in practice or qualifying anyway with these races at Daytona Talladega, but especially this year. There's just no reason to.
No.
Because unless, like you said, unless somebody specifically shows some aggressive nature for whatever reason, and it works, and the car is on the pole or is up there and he's fastest, in practice and so forth, and it looks like, okay, well, then there's an obvious, but it's still Daytona and anything can happen, so.
No. Well, and the key, too, is, again, I'm glad we don't have to make these decisions, is you remember in the last few years, these guys would go out with teammates or manufacturers, like, hey, the Hendrick cars and the Childress cars went out together. Do you risk that? What happens if all 4 get wadded up in one wreck and you only have like 1 or 2 backup cars? So now do you just not. Can you risk going out with teammates these days? Or it's like, hey, you might want to go, Childress and Trackhouse and Colleague and Hendrick, like, let's get a couple cars from each and run out, but we can't go all of them because what if they all get caught up in something? Now you're really in a dire position. So I think that's one of the top storylines, which I wrote about this week, is to draft or not to draft, and how do you draft, and who do you draft with? There's a lot of decisions now that are going to go into this that we haven't had in a long time. And I think the low inventory helps and it doesn't help, but at least for us, it makes a good storyline.
Sure.
Who's going to do
Let's
what?
Hope it's a good race. That's the thing. That's all we care about. CJ, what are you going to be doing for the race and for the season at RotoWire?
Well, we'll have some fantasy previews up for each of the races coming up. We'll have the duels previews from a fantasy perspective up for the Thursday races, and then trucks on Friday, Xfinity Saturday, Cup on Sunday, and then we're rolling from there.
And who do we keep an eye on for Xfinity and truck?
It's a wonderful question. We'll find out as practice unwinds. I think from an Xfinity
not for this week,
standpoint,
for the year.
For the year, yeah, I think Noah Gragson for sure in the Xfinity series, and then you want to look at probably what Matt DiBenedetto does in the trucks. To be quite honest with you, I think John Hunter Nemechek, probably looking pretty strong, but we know Hunter Nemechek's strong, so probably the bigger question mark is what can DiBenedetto do?
Is Gragson the favorite?
I don't know if he's the odds-on favorite. He's got to be up there because he's one of the only ones that's staying in the Xfinity series besides Allmendinger. So I would say he and Allmendinger probably close. Gragson probably by a nose.
How many rides does Gragson have in the Cup Series?
I don't know offhand. He is doing a part-time schedule.
Two?
He's driving 4 different teams. Right?
Yeah, he's at the Beard Motorsports this weekend. And then he's splitting time in the Collie car. And he's running Junior Motorsports in Xfinity. So he's got three different paychecks being signed throughout the season. So
it's going to be good for him this year.
It is.
For not riding full time in the Cup Series, you see, you could still make a good living.
Yep.
So
right.
All right, guys. Appreciate it as always. CJ, we're going to miss you most of the season. We'll definitely hear from you before the playoffs begin. And again, if something else happens, and we hope we don't talk to you again, I guess, until then, believe it or not, because if we do, then it's going to be something ridiculous.
Yeah. All hell's broke loose.
Yeah. So let's hope all those other stories are behind us. We don't want to talk about it anymore. So, but we do hope to talk to you again, of course, by the playoffs at the latest.
I won't be far.
Okay, awesome. Eric, I'll talk to you in a few days. So we'll talk on Friday.
Friday, yep.
All right. Well, weather's going to be okay?
Right now, it's Daytona. It changes.
That's true.
It looks like the percentages are lower this year. Thursday looks good. Looks like Friday and Saturday there's a chance of rain. I saw this morning they took the rain out for Sunday, 72 and sunny. And then sometimes the other day I looked at it and it was like upper 60s, low 70s with a chance of rain. So who knows? All I know is I guarantee at noon on Sunday it's going to be sunny down there.
Yeah.
It always is. I don't know what 3 o'clock's going to hold.
Yeah.
That's going to be the key. Can we get in the race? You just hope one of these years with this big of a crowd, you just play to the crowd and get it in and the time allotted. Let's not have any rain delays.
By the way, what do they do
Luke weird
between the time they wake up till 3 o'clock?
Most of the guys, fans, either go tailgate or at least you got the beach to kind of hang out. But
so a lot of nothing, basically.
A lot of nothing.
A lot of waiting around for the 3 o'clock start.
That's where the talk was. Double headers. Give them something to watch. If you're going to charge us money, give them double headers, which maybe that'll be another story for another.
We'll have a lot of time to talk about a lot of the issues in NASCAR for sure. CJ, remember those conversations.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right, guys, appreciate it. We'll talk on Friday, Eric.
Sounds good. Thank you.
And when does the playoffs start?
Labor Day weekend, whatever that Sunday
September?
Is. September. I don't know exactly the date is.
Wow,
but I know
is that far away? Wow. I'll talk to you in September, CJ.
Yeah, either beginning of September, end of August.
I hope it goes quick.
Happy Easter, Happy 4th, Merry Christmas.
That's the beginning of football season.
Yeah.
Can't wait to talk to you again, CJ.
It is.
Later, guys.
See ya.
See ya.